Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you my Hoyas. It's been a really long time since I've shown them to you. I have some in windowsills, I have some in my grow space. Most of them grow in my grow space under grow lights, and I've been growing Hoyas for 3 years, and I've gotten lots of cuttings from friends. Some have surprised me and have gotten huge. They've gotten massive really fast. I find that Hoyas grow way faster than orchids, so in today's video, I'm going to show you all of my Hoyas. I'm going to share if they're easy to grow, hard to grow, if they've bloomed, what they smell like, that sort of thing. So if you guys are into Hoyas, you're going to like this video. If you don't like Hoyas, you're going to learn a little bit more about them and why I like them so much. So let's jump right in. So before showing you my Hoyas, I want to show you where they grow in my grow room. So you guys know that I have a spare bedroom and I have it mostly dedicated to orchids, but I do keep 2 shelves dedicated to my Hoyas, and they grow really well under LED lights. I don't think you need anything special to grow them. The only issue I have with them is that they are mealybug magnets, and I'll talk about them as I show each individual Hoya, but I just wanted to show you real quick. Anyway, jumping into the first one, we have the Hoya Cummingiana, and this is a really easy growing Hoya. It is not that easy to bloom. I've bloomed it twice, but it grows like a weed, and I just revined those vines on this trellis, and it is getting completely out of control. Now, this started as a tiny little cutting in November of 2021. I got this from my friend Yoshi, Orchids by the Lake on IG and on YouTube. And I'm going to show you before and after if I have the footage or pictures of when I first got them so you could see the progression. But it's grown massively. Like I said, it bloomed twice. It has a bloom and it's a floral fragrance, but it doesn't bloom very often. So I think this one's a little tougher to bloom, but it is very vigorous. The next Hoya I'm going to show you is the Hoya Shepherdii. I also got this from Yoshi, and I got it as a smaller little cutting. It was rooted, and it grew very quickly once I got it. Now, I have it in LECA. I got it in November of 2021, and it grew a lot. Now, it stalled after it grew so much, but that was because I had it in a window that didn't have too much light. So I moved it to an east-facing window where it got really good morning sunlight, and it's done really well. Now, this has bloomed a couple of times for me. It's got a floral fragrance with hints of baby powder, and when it blooms, and it's quite strong. I noticed the fragrance in the daytime. I don't think I noticed this one at night, but it's really nice. This is the green bean Hoya, and I like it. I gotta re-trellis it or something. I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll divide it up and make a fuller pot, but this is a cool one. Looks just like green beans. The next Hoya I'm gonna show you is really easy growing. But it did give me a little trouble, and I'll share why. This one is Hoya Bella. It was very easy to grow. I got it as a tiny little clipping, and it grew massively very quickly. So as you could see, it started as a small clipping, and by March of 2023, it grew a ton. Now, I had trouble getting this to bloom because I had it in LECA, and I found that it would push out peduncles, but they would blast. And then I decided to move it into a more moisture retentive soil. This is a very thirsty small leaf Hoya. And that seemed to do the trick. And I finally was able to get this Hoya to bloom. It's got really nice flowers. It bloomed very often. The flowers smelled a little bit like sunscreen. It was actually quite pleasant. I know that that doesn't sound great, but it was kind of nice. And it finally bloomed really nicely for me. Unfortunately, it declined on me and everything started drying off. And then I went to check out the roots and I found a ton of mealybugs in there. So it was infested with root mealybugs. So this is what it looks like now. I almost lost it, but I'm starting again. And I will do a better job of monitoring for mealybugs, but I have no doubt it'll get to where it was. Okay, so the next Hoya I want to show you is really cool. This one is the Hoya Finlaysonii. I got this from a viewer. If you're watching, Brandon, check it out. This one has grown so nicely. Now, it was a slow grower. So when I first got it, I was told not to put it in leca because it doesn't do well. So I put it in a succulent mix, and it took a while for it to take off. So let me show you what it looked like before. I had a couple of leaves. It took about a year to establish and start pushing out some new leaves. But I find the leaves really pretty. They're very thick. They have this very nice veining on them. And I have been able to give a division to a friend. I was able to give this to Hillbilly Orchids, a piece of it. So hopefully it's rooting and growing well. I do find this one a little bit more difficult to root, but I'm glad that once it started pushing out leaves, it started taking off. And this is what it looks like now. Unfortunately, it did bloom, but I was in Brazil. I was at a wedding in Brazil. So when I came home, it bloomed and I saw the blooms fell. So I never got to see it. But let me show you what those Hoya Finlaysonii blooms look like when they bloom. So I look forward to finally seeing it bloom, and hopefully it won't wait too long. Okay, the next Hoya I want to show you is another really, really easy to grow, very vigorous one. And this one is the Hoya Pubicalyx Splash. I got this just from a few clippings, and it's grown incredibly well. I also got this from a viewer, Brandon, and gosh, let me show you the before. So from January of 2022 to now, it's humongous. Even last year, last March, it grew so much. It's in leca. It roots extremely well, but I do find it very hard to flower. It had a peduncle that dried up. I have a friend that also is growing this Hoya, and she told me that it needs a lot of light to bloom. I believe her because I've seen this in the New York Botanical Garden, and the Hoyas that they have in flower are very, very sun stressed. The Pubicalyx, that is, where the leaves are all pretty much almost purple. So I do have a peduncle that's coming in, so we'll see if I could finally get it to bloom with the light that it's getting now. Very easy grower, a little bit tougher to bloom than some of my others. And this is what the Pubicalyx flower looks like. I look forward to seeing it one day. Okay, let's get to the more common ones. Let me show you my Hoya Carnosa. So I have a bunch of different types. So this is the standard Hoya Carnosa. I have one that grows under lights, this one with the sun stress, and this is the standard wide leaves. And then I have another one that looks a little bit different. I grow these both in leca. I find them very easy to grow. And once they started blooming, they literally never stopped blooming. I really like my Carnosa, and I chop them up pretty often because they grow pretty fast. And the one with the more uniform, flatter leaves, that one grew very quickly, and that one bloomed for me first. I find that the blooms smell like grapes. It's very pleasant. I smell it in the daytime and at night. And I find them lovely. And the blooms are the same regardless of the leaf shape. As I said, I have different types that I'll show you in a bit. But I find these very easy to grow. I'm thinking of moving these to my windowsills just because they grow and bloom so often. And I'm telling you, once they start, they really don't stop. That fragrance is very pleasant. And I really love seeing them. So I took this picture this morning of my my standard Carnosa, but over the last couple of years, I've gotten some really nice shows with them where I have several peduncles, several clusters of flowers, and I have other types of Carnosa. So this one is the Crimson Queen. This one has variegation on the outer edges of the leaves. This one is really pretty as well. It grows really easily. I do find that some of the variegation is going on some of the directions of the growth. And this is very sun stressed as well. This is very close to the lights at the very top. But it started as a pretty small cutting, and it's grown a lot. So I'm very happy with the vigor on this one. And as I said, it seems like once you have a Carnosa, once it starts blooming, It reblooms sometimes from the same peduncle, which is nice, and then it pushes out more vines, and then you get more peduncles, and then before you know it, you have nonstop blooms on this one. So this is last March, and let me show you what it looks like right now. I upgraded the trellis because it got a little heavy, and it's doing fantastic. I'm very happy with this one. I may hang this on a window. Maybe I'll cut it up and then get more vines to make it a little bit more bushier and let it hang down. But this is what it looks like when it blooms. Just like the standard, this one smells just like grapes. I find it very pleasant. I really like Hoyas. This really grew on me. Once they started blooming, I started getting more and more. And I really like them. So let me show you my my last Carnosa type. So the Crimson Queen has variegation on the outside, and the Crimson Princess has variegation on the inside. Now, this started out as a cutting. I actually got another clipping that I combined with that one, and it grew really well. So this was last March of 2023. It got a lot bushier. The new leaves, they come in kind of pink, which is nice. This one has not bloomed for me yet, and I found this one very hard to root. So it wasn't as easy as the other two, just because the stem is more woody. But once it got going, it did really well. And I was told that sphagnum moss really helps instead of rooting these in water. And I'm finding more success with the woody stem Hoya when I put them in sphagnum moss. This lives in my bedroom next to my Philodendron Brazil. And I really like the way it looks. It has a growth spurt right now. It's getting a little bit long, and hopefully it'll bloom later this year. This is the only Carnosa that I have that hasn't bloomed yet, so hopefully we'll see some flowers soon, but I really love the foliage on this one. I forgot I have one more Carnosa, and this one is the Compacta. This one is Hindu rope, and this one is really cool. So I got this from my friend Maria, and I'm going to show you the before, and it'll blow your mind. It started off as a tiny little thing, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's bloomed for me like 2 or 3 times now, and this is really cool. So I got it in March of 2022, and it started as a little thing. It had some roots already, which was nice, so I had something to get it going, and this was March of 2023. And it finally bloomed for me, and it has the same flowers and the same fragrance as the other Hoya Carnosa. I think I'm going to chop it up a little bit so that I can get it more bushy. Now that I have one long vine, I could probably cut it up and root it. This does grow slowly, but it is rewarding. Having this for 2 years, it took some time to get it to grow. But check out the blooms. So this was about 6 months ago. Isn't that pretty? And the fragrance is so nice. The next Hoya I'm going to show you is the Hoya Khroniana Super Silver. This is a really easy grower. This blooms all the time, and then it reblooms from old peduncles. I would say that the fragrance is not for everyone. I like it. Some people don't like it. It smells like Chanel No. 5. But it's super vigorous. As you could see, it was just a couple of leaves when I first got it, and it grew so quickly. This is a silver leaf Hoya, but I'm finding that over time it's reverting back to the splashy color as it's getting older, so I'm losing it, but it's still really pretty and very fragrant. It fills my apartment up completely. Okay, the next one I also got from my friend Maria, and this one is the Hoya Retusa. So this is a really cool one. It kind of looks like grass, and it started off pretty small, and it has grown so well. So I got it in March of 2022, and I grew it in a little cup, and I wrapped it around a little trellis, and then guys, it got so bushy that I just decided to put in a bigger cup. Now, when I was repotting it, I noticed some root mealies in there. So I put it in pretty hot water, 130 degrees for about 15 minutes, and it seems to have taken care of it. This blooms quite nicely. It has little individual flowers, and It smells so nice. It reminds me of my orchid Neophonetia falcata, which is like a nice jasmine gardenia smell. It is lovely. This is what it looked like when I repotted it. And I've chopped it up a couple of times to give to friends. So I have a lot of friends actually that have a piece of this now, which it's so nice to share these. But this is what it looks like now. The fragrance on this one is noticeable at night. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you is my Hoya Obovata. So I have the regular one and I have the variegated one. And these are not small leaf Hoyas. I guess these are bigger leafed Hoyas. And I find that these grow on the slower side. So the variegated one in particular is quite slow. And the standard one is maybe an intermediate grower, I suppose. It doesn't grow super fast and it's a little bit slow. But this is what they look like last year, shortly after getting them. I got these from my friend Grismelda, and I repotted them. I put them in a succulent mix, and they haven't bloomed for me yet, but they're focused on active leaf growth. I can't wait for them to bloom because I kind of like these slightly bigger leafed Hoyas. I do find that they're slower than the small leafed Hoyas, but I do like the leaves on these. The standard one is kind of like has a little bit of a splash on it, and the variegated one is really cool. And because it hasn't flowered yet, let me show you what they look like. It's a little bit different than the Carnosa. Okay, up next we have another easy growing Hoya, the Hoya Bilobata. Now this one grows quite easily. It pushes out nice thick little leaves. This is a smaller leaf Hoya, but I find that the leaves are a little bit thicker. It's grown quite well. It started from a few cuttings, and I find that it grows really easily, but I have not been able to get this to bloom. So this is what it looked like last March. It's grown nicely since then. I do remember it was easier to root. It wasn't too bad despite being woody stemmed. I had to upgrade the trellis because it got a little top heavy, but hopefully I'll get blooms this year now that I've had it for a while. I like the leaves on this one, and let me show you what the flowers look like. Pretty nice, different from the other Hoyas, so we'll see what it looks like. The next one I'm going to show you looks a lot like the Bilobata. This one is the Hoya Burtoniae. And this is what it looks like now. And honestly, this one has barely grown since I got it. So this was last March of 2023. Really not much change. So this one did have spider mites, so I had to treat it. But I wonder if it has root mealies. Maybe I'll take it out of the leca there. It's not declining or anything, but you could see a little bit of the spider mite damage there, but it just hasn't grown. That's just been my experience with it, and it hasn't flowered either. The flowers look similar to the Bilobata. To the right is what it would look like, so hopefully it'll bloom for me one day. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you is the Hoya Kerii. So this one is pretty cool. This one is the heart-leafed shape Hoya. I find that sometimes some of the leaves come out and they don't look very heart-shaped like, but the more light they get, the better. This one is under grow lights. This is what it looked like last March. This is a slower grower, but it is growing. I've gotten maybe about four leaves since last year, so it's not super fast. It hasn't bloomed for me yet. But I have seen blooms on this, and it is really, really cool. So this is what the blooms will look like when it finally blooms. And guys, I've seen a specimen size Kerii on a page that I'm going to link for you down below, and you guys have to check out this page ASAP. This is the Pink Trellis. Gina has some amazing Hoyas. If you want to check it out, check out the link below. I really like her channel. Anyway, moving on to the next Hoya. This one is the Hoya Pachyclada, and I really love the leaves on this one. This is another slower grower, but this is doing well in my succulent mix. When I first got it, it had plenty of leaves. Maybe it's given me 4 leaves since last year. It hasn't grown a ton. this is last March. So as you can see, it's not growing a ton, but the leaves are really cool. This is one of my favorites. It did have a peduncle, but it never bloomed for me. I really can't wait for it to bloom because I like what the flower looks like. And it has little root nubbins. I could probably cut it off and start a new one, but I really want it to bloom. I really like the trellis I put it in. So I'm not going to chop it up or do anything to it, but gosh, I really like it. I don't know what it is about the Pachyclada, but I like it. But like I said, it's a slow grower. Hopefully it will bloom for me later in the year. And this is what the flowers look like. Isn't that pretty? They're different from the others, so we'll see how it turns out. Okay, the next Hoya I have is the Hoya Wayetii, and I got this from a plant nursery in Connecticut about a year ago. And this one is growing quite nicely. I have not repotted it. And it's slightly variegated, I guess. Some are variegated, some are not variegated. And this is what it looked like when I first got it last April. And this is what it looks like now. I really find it interesting because half of it I would say is variegated and the other half isn't. So it is slightly variegated. I can't wait for it to bloom. It grows super easy, no issues. And this is what the flowers look like. Very pretty, a nice red. The next Hoya I'm going to show you is the Hoya Macrophylla Albo-Marginata. And I got this from a plant shop on the Upper West Side, and I remember I was just not expecting to see Hoyas, and this I took a picture right in the plant shop, and that's what it looked like when I first got it. I find that it's really easy to grow. It pushes out leaves quite easily. It has not bloomed for me yet. I put it on this trellis that it's kind of outgrowing, so I got to get it into a bigger trellis. I have not repotted it yet. I'm going to let it be for a while. But I like the leaves. I like the variegation on the edges. And this is what the flower looks like. And I'm happy to see a lot of them that are not like the Carnosa since I have so many. Okay, the next few I've had about a year. This one's the Hoya Som Paen. And I did not pot this up for a while. I left it in sphagnum moss, so that's why it didn't grow too much. But I got this from my friend Maria, and the next few are also from her. I look forward to seeing this one grow up, and this is what the flowers will look like. So we shall see. This is the same case for the Hoya Mindorensis Red. I didn't pot it up for a while. It did have some spider mites too, as you could see from under the leaves, but I treated it. And it's good to go. I had the yellow, but unfortunately I killed it. So I have the red and I will be taking very good care of it now. And those flowers look absolutely stunning. I have one more that I'm going to show you that I really like, and it's the Hoya Mathilde. And this one is a cross between the Hoya serpens and the Hoya Carnosa. This one's really cute. I kept it in moss for a while where it was rooting, so it didn't grow as well as I wanted, but I'm going to chop it up and make it bushy over time. I really love the pot that it's in, so I got the pot from my friend's little shop. I'm going to link her page down below. She makes lots of custom little pots. I love this tree trunk one. It's just so adorable. I'm going to link her page. It's called Toria's Craft and Garden. Down below, she does custom orders and custom pots with lots of different things. So go check out her page if you're looking for some fun pots. I really like that Hoya. Anyway, this is what the Hoya Mathilde flower looks like. And that is my collection of Hoyas for now. I have a friend that's going to be sending me some more cuttings, so stay tuned to see how I expand my Hoya collection. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below which is your favorite Hoya. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.